Hello and welcome to note-taker training provided by Student Disability Services. Thank you for becoming a note-taker. Today we will be discussing how you can take excellent notes for yourself and students in your class with disabilities. One thing that surprises many note-takers is the type of student that may receive note-taking assistance. There is, in fact, no one type. Most of the students who receive accommodations through Student Disability Services may have hidden disabilities which are not readily apparent. In fact, the person sitting next to you may have a disability that you cannot see, but nevertheless impacts their learning. For example, students with cancer going through chemotherapy, awaiting liver transplants, and heart conditions may need to miss class occasionally. Your notes are vital to these students. Your classmates with other invisible disabilities like ADHD and dyslexia may have gaps in their notes and need your notes to assist them in filling in the gaps. Your complete and accurate notes allow these students the opportunity to participate as fully in the educational experience as other students in the class. Did you know that all students that get a note-taking accommodation must provide medical documentation to Student Disability Services and be found eligible for a note-taker? Thank you for being a caring and outstanding student. We know that all note-takers have at least a 2.5 GPA. In addition, it is important that you know your responsibilities as a note-taker. Be sure to attend class every day. If missing a class is unavoidable, please get notes from another student to replace those that you have missed. It is a good idea to find this person beforehand so that the notes can be provided in a timely fashion. Be sure to be on time for class. A lot of important information is often shared before the lecture begins. Also, remember to stay alert during class so that you don't miss any important information that is shared. You will be required to upload your notes within 24 hours of class ending. And finally, if you are ever unable to fill your responsibilities, please contact the office as soon as possible so that we may find a replacement. Thank you. Here are some strategies that you can use to take better notes not only for the student but for yourself as well. Use a full sheet of 8.5 by 11 paper or use a computer and word processing software to take notes. This will allow you enough room to get all the main points of the lecture as well as important details. It is better to use a computer, especially when taking notes for a student with a vision impairment, because he or she can then use a special type of software to read the notes. Make sure to add important header information at the top, which will allow you and the student to keep notes organized. Stay alert and attentive so that you can be sure to record all important information of the lecture. It is also important that you record all of the important points, even the ones that you may already know. If handwriting notes, be sure to write legibly, keeping in mind that most often print is much easier to read than script. Use of correct spelling is necessary to get your point across accurately. Using black or blue ink will improve the readability of notes if you are scanning them to send to the student. Pencil is not recommended. Lastly, remember to listen for ideas rather than words. It is not necessary to capture every word of the lecture, but rather important ideas and details. Often instructors will give you cues which will help you understand what is important in the lecture. Such cues may include ideas professor repeats or spends a long time on, ideas written on board or overhead, ideas also converted in the text or course outline, change in pace, tone, emphasis, volume, or body language, or clear cues, such as this is important or this will be on the exam. Show up for class each day. If you miss a class, obtain notes from students in the class. Take neat, accurate notes on lecture presentations and guest speakers. Other skills needed to become an efficient note-taker include clear, legible handwriting, strong listening and comprehension skills, ability to discriminate between relevant and irrelevant information, the ability to process and organize information, identify information from instructors that is important, be keyboard proficient if a keyboard is required. Not every class meeting will be a lecture. However, this doesn't mean that you have no responsibility as a note taker for that day. These are some common class situations and how to deal with each of them. If class is devoted to student presentations, make sure to note the keywords and topics of each presentation. If half of the class is devoted to listening to the guest speaker, make sure to take notes on the topic at hand and the key points that the speaker makes. If the class is working on group work, take note of the discussions that take place in your group. If the class reviews for a test, be sure to note the questions and the correct answer to those questions. If a film is shown, it is important to record the main points from the film. Finally, and most importantly, please keep in mind that presentation materials do not suffice as notes. Often, instructors will provide you with PowerPoint handouts prior to the class meeting, but it is expected that you add more detail to these handouts. Make notations on anything that the professor emphasizes. Only uploading PowerPoints without additional information is not considered notes. Very rarely is it that there is no additional detail to add to the notes. If this is the case, please let Student Disability Services know. If you know the identity of the student for whom you are taking notes, please respect the student's confidentiality and rights to privacy. For whom you are taking notes, you must not mention the student's name or email address or any services received by the student. Note takers should not use notes to advise, interject personal opinion, or counsel students. Class notes should reflect the instructor's meaning and intent without added commentary or opinion. There are times note takers may want to add their own ideas, especially when they are knowledgeable or have strong feelings about the subject. However, the note taker's role is to convey the instructor's ideas and opinions. Note takers should not counsel or advise or instruct any students. The note taker's job is to create a tool, but they are not tutors, advisors, or counselors. If there is difficulty that the instructor can address, such as talking too fast or not providing enough time to copy overheads, the note taker can bring it to the instructor's attention, but in the context of taking better notes for students, there is no additional need. If there is a difficult issue, bring it to the attention of someone with a more formal role, such as an accommodation specialist for note-taking working in SDS. Let's take a look at why the university is required to provide note-taking assistance to students with disabilities. The United States established certain laws that make it illegal to discriminate against a student with a disability and mandate that certain accommodations be made for that student. These accommodations aren't to make it easier for the student to succeed, but are rather to even the playing field and give the student the same opportunity to succeed as any other student. The portion of federal law that mandates educational institutions provide equal access to education and appropriate academic accommodations to students with disabilities are Title II of the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA of 1990, and Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973. One type of academic accommodation is note-taking assistance. Thank you for completing this training and for becoming a note taker. Remember that we are here for you and are available to address any concerns or questions you may have. Following this video will be a short quiz covering the material presented that you are required to complete. The quiz should only take a few minutes. Good luck and thank you again.